Right, people, welcome back to another video in our Mitre-Attack series. So today we are going to take a look at obtain capabilities T1588, and that is a very relevant technique that the adversaries are that they are performing, and especially because this is in the early phase, and from a threat intelligence perspective, we defenders, we get to know what capabilities the attacker has. So let's take a look now at this. First, let's go to the editing mode here. Today we have Tuesday night, the 6th January, so it is nice and early, 3:50 AM. That's usually a good time for me to think about cybersecurity. And let me copy a little bit of that stuff on that page here. So we have 7 sub-techniques. I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller this time because I would like to fit the sub-techniques as well, like this. So give me a moment to order all of that. Then obviously we need this picture here as well. Right, and our idea is to fit all of this in here, and I think that is quite good. So now we're gonna move this to the top. And also feel free while I'm copying that stuff here to start reading a little bit of that. Let's go back to reading mode. So, obtain capabilities. We are in the resource development phase here. As you can see in the middle, we have some sub-techniques. Those are malware, tool, code signing certificates, digital certificates, exploits, vulnerabilities, and as a last point, artificial intelligence. I think this has been added recently, since we live in times where artificial intelligence, AI, is very popular, and adversaries are indeed using artificial intelligence to facilitate their attacks, to be more efficient at what they do. So in these times, one adversary can perform a larger number of malicious activities in the same time frame with the help of AI. And yeah, so what you see here in the sub-techniques, those are the typical things that you can expect an attacker to obtain before he launches an attack on you. So what we should be doing is thinking about these possibilities and then obviously counteract this before the attack happens. That's the idea. Platforms we don't have here, as you can see, because, well, there is no platform for this. It affects all platform. It is before the attacker enters your environment. It's fairly recent, October 2020, updated 25, it's all good. And now let's take a look at the text here. So adversaries may buy and or steal capabilities that can be used during targeting. Rather than developing their own capabilities in-house, adversaries may purchase, freely download or steal them. Yes, so that's the contrast to developing their own capabilities. And why is that important? Well, whatever the adversary can steal, purchase or freely download, that's stuff that you can potentially also discover yourself. So for example, the software Mimikatz, that's freely download. Purchase, you gotta look on the there was a website back in the day, it's called Silk Road, but in the dark web there are alternatives now. So Silk Road, as far as I know, has been taken down by the American officials, by the agencies, but there are alternatives. You're not supposed as a defender to go and buy something on these platforms, but what you can do is look around a little bit and see what is being offered there. Another thing of buying is just to buy an antivirus solution. The adversary can buy Microsoft Defender the same way you do and play around with that until it doesn't trigger on the attack. So that's what they mean here. Steal obviously as well. So if you have something in your company developed, expect that this can be stolen and used against you. But there is one point here that is not covered, And that is the contrast here. So rather than developing their own capabilities, and let me mark that. So rather than that's not that. Rather than developing their own capabilities, well, whatever they develop themselves, that is beyond our understanding. We have no clue what Anonymous is developing right now. We just don't know. So these are the so-called, there might be 0-day exploits that they develop themselves, um, and so on. So this is something we don't see, and that's the contrast here. So you don't know what the Lazarus group is developing right now, and keep that in mind. So here in that technique, we are on the easy side of things, let's say. So this is all the things that can be purchased, and you can do that too. At least you can see and find out what exists out there. But let's continue reading then. So activities may include the acquisition of malware and then software exploit certificates. So they list now all the sub-techniques here, pretty much vulnerabilities, and then adversaries may obtain capabilities to support their operations throughout numerous phases of the adversary lifecycle. Yes, obviously. So they can go back to this technique every time they need it. So in the reconnaissance, they can buy something that helps them. In the exploit phase, they can buy something. Command and control, a C2 server, they can again. So they can go back to this capability, obviously, to this technique. Then, in addition to downloading free malware, software, and exploits from the internet, adversaries may purchase these capabilities from third-party entities. Yes, so those are the illegal sites, or even legal, okay? Buy an antivirus solution, as said. Endpoint protection, play around with that. At this point, the vendors of these solutions, they should be interested to not sell their product to anybody. Okay, so there must be some sort of verification who is buying my security product here, and if I'm not sure to what extent vendors do that. They want to earn money, they are happy about every sale they can make, but be cautious. So if you work for one of the security vendors, if you are responsible, make sure to never sell your security product to a known hacker group. So make that check if possible. You're doing not a great service to society by selling your solution to these people. They play around, they kind of reverse engineer that thing, and then you don't detect the sophisticated attacks anymore. This is happening right now. Okay, as a hacker, this is exactly what I would do. I would get myself a copy of CrowdStrike, Microsoft Defender, some Kaspersky, some McAfee. I would get all of these things that are common. I would just look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant for that. Okay, there are the endpoint detection solutions. They are there. Yes, so avoid that. Avoid selling it to criminals. And then third-party entities can include technology companies that specialize in malware and exploits, criminal marketplaces, yes, that's what I mentioned, or from individuals. Well, the last point, we can't do anything. Individuals, there might be a crazy hacker out there who's talented and who creates these exploits and whatnot on his own. That's possible. There are even two sources, 1 and 2. I'm eager to look. I'm looking forward to see what these sources are. But yeah, and then in addition to purchasing capabilities, adversaries may steal capabilities from third-party entities, including other adversaries. Well, yeah, so I'm not heard of cases where hacker groups target each other. What's the point? They have enough prey in the wild. Why should they? The lion does not attack another lion, right? What's the point? But maybe it happened in the past. All I know from the defender perspective that I have, that case doesn't even interest me. If hacker groups go against each other, they can do that. I'm not protecting them, I'm not working for them, so it does not bother me too much. It's just a fun note on the side, maybe, to read this in a newspaper. And obviously, if they fight each other, that's less time fighting us. So that's a good thing if hacker groups target each other, but they are not that stupid, right? So we can expect that this case this case right here is addition from including other adversaries. So this case, while it sounds interesting and thought through, not relevant for us. Let me know in the comments if you have some news articles on that. So I'm at the top of my head, I can't think of even one case. Then this can include stealing software licenses, malware, SSL TLS certificates, code signing certificates, yeah, or raiding closed databases of vulnerability or exploits. Yes. Pretty interesting, right? So seeing this just opens up a little bit your horizon on what is possible on the attacker side. Now we get an idea of what it can be. So next, let me copy that. Let's get rid of all of this. And also, just one side note, we are going to cover all of these sub-techniques this time, because the content there is, I looked at it a little bit. It's really worth digging a little bit deeper this time, and we are going to do that. So then we have here mitigation. Unfortunately, detection this time, let me see, it takes up a lot of space. Yeah, it will take up an entire page. So instead of detection, we do detection last this time. I'm going to, or you know what, let me copy that real quick. Let's do that in order. It's fine. We have always detection after mitigation, so give me a moment to copy these things on the page. So the detection this time is really it's a lot. Okay, so let's see if quantity is an indicator for interesting content. So I don't like this quantity, quality stuff like that. So just because it's a lot, it doesn't mean that it has to be bad, right? Okay, and here are the sources. Good. Then let's go back to the reading mode here, and let's take a look at the mitigation. So I would expect there is no, that's what it says. This cannot be easily mitigated. It's outside of your premises. But what you can do is you can have an understanding, since it's based on preventive. You can prevent this, but you can anticipate that this happens. And on the next page then, so here's nothing more to see, right? No prevention. You can stop people from buying exploits, but we know that this is a thing. So now in the detection strategy, I believe there might be some advantages if you know that this can happen and you anticipate it, and then you can create a better detection for that. So let's see what they write. Consider use of services that may aid in the tracking of newly issued certificates. Okay. In use on sites across the internet. Yeah, so virus total, for example, is a classic here. Or there are other sites. Threat intelligence is, I think, the main thing to consider here. In some cases, it may be possible to pivot on known pieces of certificate information to uncover other adversary infrastructure. Okay, some server-side components of adversaries tools may have default values set for SSL and TLS certificates. Default values, yes, also interesting. Let's mark that down. That's also a classic. So looking for default values in configurations. So it looks like something real, but it's just a default value. There's no real value behind it. Much of this activity will take place outside of the visibility of your organization, making detection difficult. Yeah. Detection efforts may be focused on related stages of adversary lifecycle. Defensivation, command and control, yes. Then monitoring for contextual data about a malicious payload, such as compilation times, file hashes, as well as watermarks or other identifiable configuration information. Much of this activity will take place outside the visibility of the target organization, making detection of this behavior difficult. Exactly, command and control. Then monitor for log network traffic in response to a scan showing both protocol header and body values. Yeah, so that's a little bit, we can do that. Let's skip a little bit faster over this. Consider analyzing malware for features that may be associated. Okay, malware as a service. They have here different quartermaster. What is this? What is this quartermaster thing? In some cases, identifying overlapping characteristics in malware used by different adversaries main point to a shared quartermaster here. So identifying multiple malwares. Malware repositories can also be used to identify features of tool use associated with an adversary, such as watermarks and cobalt strike payloads. Yeah, so those are just some ideas. That what catched my eyes is the default values thing. That's the classic. The other are much too specific. Of course, use that, but it's not of a general nature, I would say. Also, one thing to consider is nobody is claiming that page. So there might be an opportunity for you guys to extend the research here a little bit and put your name on that. So that's really interesting that they didn't put a name here. Let's see if there is a name on the other sides. That doesn't mean that the quality here is bad. I think the quality of this technique and how it's written totally sufficient for what we are trying to achieve here. And now let's try to take a look at the references as a last step. So this was the first. Nicole Perlroth and David E. Sanger in 2013, quite a while back. Nation spying as hackers self-forcing computer code. Yeah. Then Bill Marzak and John Scott Railton, the $1 Million Dissident, NSO Group's iPhone 0 days used against UAE human rights defender. Yeah. What else? We have Fisher, Kovar, Insect Group, FireEye. So the only thing that catches my eye here is FireEye, actually. That's one of those researchers. At least it's familiar to me. The others I don't know. And then they do supply chain analysis here. And this is the word quartermaster to Sunshop FireEye. So this word quartermaster, that's interesting to me. We might check that out. But yeah, so far so good, people. So we have now an understanding of what obtained capabilities is all about. We know where to locate it in the adversary lifecycle, so in the kill chain pretty much. It's resource development. We have an idea of the sub-techniques. We will cover those. I will just do one after the other, so expect how much is it, like 7 videos after this one for resource development. We have an idea what it is. It is extending our horizon of what to think about, what to anticipate. Mitigations, not so much. Detection strategy, they go a little bit into detail here. Too much to detail for my taste. This will be applicable for some cases, but for a lot of you guys it won't be. So here in the detection strategy I see the most potential for improvement of this description. Make it more general and add more cases probably. So there's after reading this, I don't fully have the idea that this would immediately be useful for me. But this is just an initial impression, so maybe when you start implementing it you get another idea. But for me this text here is there is something off to it. I can't really describe what it is, but it is first of all a wall of text. The structure is not quite there, and I don't feel like I can grasp in a short time what it is all about. It requires too much attention for my taste. And we are people who are used to test our attention span. That's okay, but that's just a little bit of what I feel here. Don't take it too negative, please. Okay, that's just the opinion of a random guy on the internet, me. But I still feel like there is room for improvement. I will never find time to do it myself. That's the perfect feedback, right? The guy is complaining about this and that, but okay, do it better. Oh, I don't have time. I might find some time, okay? So I'm not one of these people who complains without having a better idea. So I might find some time and eventually get to it. Let's see. And maybe one of you guys can get to it as part of our community here. Yeah, references FireEye, some names I don't know, and the age of these articles is in general pretty old, right? So the youngest one is 2021. That doesn't mean anything too. It just means that this technique has been identified some while ago, and it is there is some truth to it. It stands the test of time. So far so good, people. So then thank you for watching. We understand now obtain capabilities a little better. We know what it is. Yeah, also thank you for spending time on cybersecurity. It is time well spent. and see you in the next video then. Goodbye.